Hey there everybody, I'm Burak and you're watching Cathlist. If you've been a longtime viewer of the show, and I'm assuming you haven't, but you may have noticed that a good number of the saints we talk about have died of tuberculosis. We've mentioned Maria Faustina Kowalska and a few others. So that got us thinking, how many fascinating members of the church triumphant have met their demise thanks to tuberculosis? It turns out, quite a few. And by quite a few, I mean like all of them. And by all of them, I mean most of them. And by most of them, I don't actually know, but a lot of them have died of tuberculosis. So today we thought we'd go through a few of them. Stick around, but not too close because TB is really, really contagious. Let's kick off this list with St. Bernadette Subaru, not to be confused with love that makes a Subaru. The Blessed Mother appeared to young Bernadette 18 times in a cave in Lourdes, France. During her 16th vision, when Bernadette asked who the lady was, the lady responded with, "I am the Immaculate Conception." Then she sneezed on her. Just kidding. She died of, you know, tuberculosis at the age of 35. Blessed Augustus Czartoryski was the oldest child of a Spanish prince and princess who, despite his royalty, disliked the things of the court. He met Don Bosco as the older priest celebrated Mass in the family palace chapel, was deeply inspired, and joined the Salesians a few years later, and eventually died of tuberculosis. Blessed DINA Belanger was a Canadian nun, a member of the French Order Religious of Jesus and Mary. She was a talented musician who taught piano and is the namesake of several French-Canadian musical and artistic institutions. She wrote often, and in a vision, Jesus told her, "You will do good by your writings." Her writings did do good, but she died of tuberculosis. Saint Therese of Lisieux, the little flower of Jesus, was a cloistered Carmelite nun in France who died in obscurity of tuberculosis. You might have heard of her little way, the practice of doing ordinary things with extraordinary love. Her autobiography, A Story of a Soul, was published after her death. Within 28 years of her death, again from tuberculosis, the public demand was so great that she was canonized. Blessed MANCIUS KYUZABURO was one of the 305 martyrs of Japan who eventually died from tuberculosis. He was a layman in Nagasaki and gave the missionaries there a home. For that, he was imprisoned and left to die of his illness. Blessed SANCJA SZYMKOWIAK was a Polish woman who, on a pilgrimage to Lourdes, France, gave herself over to the hands of the Blessed Virgin Mary and later entered a branch of the Franciscan order. Her convent was put under house arrest during World War II and was ordered to care for the injured and ailing soldiers. In addition to this, Blessed SANCJA served as an interpreter. She contracted tuberculosis and died at the age of 32. Blessed Luigi Campidello was studying for the priesthood when he died of pneumonia. No, of course he didn't. This is a list of people who died of tuberculosis. Pay attention. He was a member of the Passionists, was known as an extremely good student and pious child, and taught catechism to the other children. And finally, Blessed MARIE-CELINE of the Presentation. Her legs were paralyzed, but she was always joyful and helpful where she could be. She was a member of the Poor Clares in Bordeaux, France. Good wine. She was a model of joy and suffering, even through her ultimately fatal battle with tuberculosis. And that's all the time we have for now, folks. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Cathlist. The lady responded with, "I am the Immaculate Conception." Then she asked who the lady was. Oh, this is bad. I keep thinking about what's coming.